All right, so you ready to dive into some serious NBA action from last night?
Always ready. Let's go.
Buckle up, because we're talking about the kind of night that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about the league.
January 4th, 2025, a night the underdogs decided to, well, completely rewrite the script.
Exactly. We're going deep on this one, pulling insights from a recent Courtside Chronicles episode, and trust me, there are some serious shockers in here.
It's one thing to have a close game, a nail-biter, but this was a whole other level. Young players just absolutely taking over.
That's what was so crazy. We're talking blowouts, clutch plays. It was like a whole new generation announced their arrival, you know?
Absolutely. Makes you wonder if we're seeing a seismic shift in the league.
Right. Like, is this the start of something big? Okay, so first up, the Kings and the Warriors. Now, usually that's a matchup that has everyone on the edge of their seats.
It's a classic rivalry.
Exactly. But last night, oh man, the Kings just demolished the Warriors.
Demolished is right, 129 to 99.
A 30-point lead. Can you believe it?
I mean, you do have to factor in that the Warriors were playing without Steph Curry. Obviously, that had a huge impact on their game.
Yeah, true. But still, even without Curry, you can't take anything away from how incredibly the Kings played. De'Aaron Fox, he was like a man possessed.
Oh, he was on fire. 34 points, absolutely unstoppable.
And it wasn't just Fox. Sabonis had a monster game, too. A double-double, 22 points and 15 rebounds.
Yeah, he was a force on both ends of the court, no question. The Warriors had no answer for him.
Okay, so that's one major upset. Are you ready for another one?
Amy.
Because the Houston Rockets decided to get in on the action, too. They took down the Los Angeles Lakers 119-115.
Talk about a thriller. And what about Jalen Green? Career high 41 points, including the game-winning three-pointer.
I mean, can you imagine the pressure, the clock ticking down, and he just drains it like it's nothing?
That's what star power looks like. And to do it against a team like the Lakers, that's a statement win.
Seriously. Even LeBron James, who still had a decent game, couldn't carry them to victory. He put up 28 points, 10 rebounds, but it wasn't enough.
It's like a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
This new generation of players is ready to take over.
Okay, so we've got two major upsets already. But the surprises didn't stop there. The Utah Jazz, they decided to join the party too. They bounced back from a bit of a slump with a solid win over the Orlando Magic.
A convincing win, 105-92.
Yeah. And Lauri Markkanen, he was the standout for the Jazz. 29 points, 12 rebounds, just dominant.
He's having a phenomenal season, playing with so much confidence. But what really stood out to me in that game was the Jazz's defense.
Oh, totally.
They were stifling, forcing the Magic into 18 turnovers. That's huge.
It completely disrupted their rhythm, their flow.
Exactly. The Jazz might have had some struggles, but they're still a force to be reckoned with, especially on the defensive end.
All right, ready for another upset? This one might be the biggest of the night. The New Orleans Pelicans took down the Washington Wizards 110-98.
And when we say took down, we mean it. Zion Williamson, that guy was unstoppable. 33 points, 8 rebounds. He was a one-man wrecking crew.
Seriously, it was like watching a highlight reel. Just pure power and athleticism.
And you could tell the Wizards were struggling without Bradley Beal, who was out for this game.
Oh yeah, they really missed his scoring ability. Kyle Kuzma tried to pick up the slack with 26 points, but it wasn't enough to match the Pelicans' firepower.
That Pelicans team, when they're firing on all cylinders like that, they are a serious threat.
All right, we got to squeeze in one last game before we jump to part two. The Cleveland Cavaliers pulled off a tough win against the Charlotte Hornets, 115-105. It was a close one, a real back-and-forth battle.
Donovan Mitchell, though, he was the difference maker. He had 36 points, including some crucial shots in the fourth quarter.
He just took over the game when it mattered most. A true leader.
And can't forget about Evan Mobley. He had another double-double with 18 points and 13 rebounds. That guy is a beast on the boards.
So that's a quick rundown of the madness that was last night in the NBA. But we've got a lot more to break down, so stay tuned for part two, where we'll really dig into what these wins mean for the rest of the season.
We're just getting started.
Okay, so we just ran through some of the biggest highlights from last night, but I think it's worth taking a closer look at a few of these games. What stood out to you the most?
Well, you got to start with the Kings, right? That win over the Warriors was just, it was a clinic.
Absolutely. Even without Steph Curry, the Warriors are a tough team to beat. But the Kings, they just played with so much confidence, so much swagger.
And De'Aaron Fox, he was the catalyst. His speed, his agility, it was just too much for the Warriors to handle. He was breaking down their defense, getting to the rim at will, and just controlling the pace of the game.
And let's not forget about Sabonis. That double-double was huge. 22 points and 15 rebounds. He was a monster on the boards.
Sabonis was everywhere. He was grabbing offensive rebounds, getting putbacks, and just making life difficult for the Warriors' big men. His presence inside really opened things up for Fox and the rest of the Kings' offense.
Yeah, you could tell the Warriors were frustrated. They just couldn't find an answer for the Kings' inside-out game. It was like they were a step behind all night.
And that's a testament to the Kings' coaching staff. They had a game plan, they stuck to it, and they executed it to perfection.
What I found really impressive was their composure. They didn't let the moment get too big for them. They stayed focused, they played together, and they never let up.
And that's a dangerous sign for the rest of the league. If the Kings can maintain this level of play, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
All right, let's shift gears to Houston. What can you say about Jalen Green's performance? That was something else.
I mean, wow. Just wow. 41 points against the Lakers, a career high. And he did it in such a clutch way, hitting that game-winning three-pointer. That's what superstars are made of.
He was fearless. He wanted the ball in his hands. He wanted to take the big shot, and he delivered.
And it wasn't just the scoring. He was making plays for his teammates, getting everyone involved. He was a leader out there on the court. You could see it in his eyes and his body language.
And Sengun played a great game, too. 20 points and a handful of assists. He and Green have developed a really nice chemistry.
Yeah, they complement each other so well. Green's the dynamic scorer, and Sengun's the facilitator. They make each other better.
The Rockets have a bright future with those two leading the way.
No doubt about it. They're going to be fun to watch for years to come.
All right, so the Jazz didn't pull off an upset, but their win over the Magic was still pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Lauri Markkanen was fantastic, as usual. He's just so consistent, and he can score from anywhere on the court.
Yeah, 29 points, 12 rebounds. He's becoming one of the most complete players in the league.
But what really impressed me about the Jazz was their defense. They were locked in from the opening tip. They were swarming the ball, forcing turnovers, and just making life miserable for the Magic.
It was like watching a masterclass in team defense. They were communicating, they were rotating, they were helping each other out.
And that's what makes the Jazz so dangerous. They might not have the flashiest offense in the league, but they can shut you down defensively.
Yeah, they make you work for every basket.
And that's a recipe for success in this league.
Okay, let's talk about Zion Williamson and the Pelicans. Another dominant performance from him. The Wizards just had no answer for his power and athleticism.
He was unstoppable, 33 points, 8 rebounds. He was just bullying his way to the basket. And what's scary is that he's still getting better.
Yeah, he's adding new moves to his arsenal. He's not just relying on his athleticism anymore. He's becoming a more polished scorer.
And with a healthy Zion, the Pelicans are a legitimate contender. They've got the talent, they've got the coaching, and now they've got the confidence.
The Wizards were missing Bradley Beal, which definitely hurt them. But even with Beal, I'm not sure they could have stopped Zion. He was just that good. All right, before we move on to our final thoughts, let's quickly touch on the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell was clutch down the stretch, leading them to a hard-fought victory over the Hornets.
Mitchell is a winner, plain and simple. He wants the ball in his hands when the game is on the line, and he usually delivers.
Yeah, he's not afraid of the moment. And Evan Mobley continues to impress. Another double-double for him. He's really developing into a star.
Mobley's got the potential to be one of the best big men in the league. He's got the size, the skills, and the basketball IQ.
The Cavaliers are a team on the rise. They're young, they're talented, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. So we've seen some incredible performances from these young players, and it begs the question, are we witnessing a changing of the guard in the NBA?
It's starting to feel that way. The balance of power is shifting, and these young guys are leading the charge.
It's wild, right? Like all these young guys just exploding onto the scene. What do you think this means for the future of the league?
Well, I think it's a really good sign, actually. It means the league is in great hands. This next generation is coming in with so much energy, and I think they're really going to push the boundaries of the game even further.
It really feels like a changing of the guard, doesn't it?
I think so. We've seen it happen throughout history, right? You have these waves of talent that come in and just shake things up, and that always leads to a super exciting new era for the league. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, it's like a whole new chapter is beginning. And what's interesting is that it's not just like one or two standout players.
Yeah.
We're seeing this across multiple teams.
That's what makes it so special. It's like a movement, you know? Teams are really investing in their young players and giving them a chance to shine, and these guys are definitely making the most of it.
Like the Kings, right. Taking down the Warriors like that was a huge statement.
It really was. To play with that kind of confidence, that fearlessness, against a team like the Warriors, it shows you what they're capable of.
And Jalen Green dropping 41 points on the Lakers, that was insane.
It was. That kid's got ice in his veins. He wanted that big shot, and he absolutely nailed it. The sky's the limit for him.
And then there's Zion. I mean, he's just a beast. When he's healthy, he's practically unstoppable.
Yeah, he's got that rare combination of power and finesse. He's already a dominant force, but he's still so young. Imagine how good he's going to be in a few years.
It's kind of scary, honestly. So with all this in mind, what do you think the rest of the season holds? Are we going to see some major shakeups in the standings?
Oh, I think so, definitely. This season is wide open, and I think these young teams are going to be a big part of that. They're going to push the veterans. They're going to make noise in the playoffs. It's going to be really exciting to watch.
It's like anything is possible now, right?
Absolutely. And that's what makes the NBA so great, right? You just never know what's going to happen next.
So for all you listeners out there, keep an eye on these young players. They're the future of the league, and they're ready to take over.
The future's bright, that's for sure.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into all the action from last night's NBA games. We'll be back soon to break down even more basketball craziness. Until then, keep watching those highlights.